I carried heavy loads at the market all day, just to earn enough for the dress she liked. But when I gave it to her, she folded it away, and told me she had already worn silk from another man. I'm writing this because I need someone to know what I did. What I weigh. What I destroyed with my own hands. My back still aches from those market days. Loading trucks, hauling crates. Working 14-hour shifts just to scrape together enough money. Sarah had seen this dress in a shop window downtown. Blue silk with tiny pearl buttons. She didn't ask for it. Never asked for anything. But I saw how her fingers traced the glass, how her eyes lingered. 3 months. 3 months of carrying loads that would break most men. Skipping lunches. Walking home instead of taking the bus. All so I could surprise the woman who had stuck by me through everything. The day I bought it, I was so proud. Hands shaking as I handed over the cash. The shopkeeper smiled like she knew what this meant to me. Like she understood that this dress represented every ounce of love I had for Sarah. I came home early that Tuesday. Wanted to surprise her before she got back from her teaching job. That's when I saw them. Through our bedroom window. Sarah and him. My business partner. The man I'd trusted with everything. They were on our bed. Our bed where we'd planned our future, where we'd whispered dreams about the kids we'd have someday. I just stood there. Frozen. Watching my entire world apart. When I finally walked in an hour later. Acting like I'd just gotten home, Sarah was in the kitchen making dinner. Hair perfectly neat. Smile perfectly normal. Like nothing had happened. I got something, I said, my voice somehow steady. She opened the box, saw the dress, and for just a moment, her face went white. It's beautiful, she whispered. Then she folded it back, closed the box. But I can't accept this. Why not? That's when she told me. About Marcus. About how it had been going on for 6 months. About how he'd been buying her things. Nice things. Silk things. He already got me a dress like this, she said, not even looking at me. A better one. I stared at that box in her hands. At the dress I'd broken my body to afford. The dress that was supposed to show her how much she meant to me, and I realized she'd been wearing silk from another man's money while I was hauling crates in the sun. How long? I asked. Does it matter? It did matter. Every day mattered. Every lie mattered. Every time she'd me goodnight while thinking about him. I'm leaving, she said. Marcus has an apartment across town. I'm taking Emma, our 5-year-old daughter. The light of my. Can't just take her. Watch me. Sarah packed that night. I sat on the couch. Still holding the box with the dress. Watching her carry our daughter's clothes past me. Emma kept asking what was happening. Where they were going. When Daddy was coming too. Sarah told her we were having problems. And that Daddy needed to figure some things out. Emma hugged me goodbye. Her little arms around my neck. I'll miss Daddy. I'll miss too, sweetheart. After they left, I opened the box again. Looked at that dress. The dress that had cost me everything, and meant nothing. I thought about throwing it away. But somehow I couldn't. It was proof. Proof of how much I'd loved her. Proof of how little that love had meant. The house was so quiet. I called my mom, told her what happened. She cried. Actually cried for me. That sweet girl, she kept saying. I thought she was different. So did I, Mom. So did I. The next morning, I had to go to work. Had to face Marcus. Had to pretend like I didn't know he'd been in my bed. Steal in every bit of my bedard. He looked right at me during our morning meeting. Smiled. Asked how Sarah was doing. I wanted to hit him. Wanted to destroy him. Instead, I smiled back and said she was fine. Because what else could I do? Our business was everything I had left. If I lost that too, I'd have nothing to give Emma when I got my visitation rights. If I got visitation rights. That night, I sat in our empty house, eating cereal for dinner, and I understood something that hadn't hit me before. Sarah hadn't just left me for another man. She'd planned this. The timing. The way she had everything ready. How quickly she'd dismissed the dress. She'd been preparing to leave me while I was working to make her happy. Every morning, when I'd heard goodbye before heading to the market. Every evening, when I'd come home exhausted and she'd rub my shoulders. Every weekend, when we'd played with Emma in the backyard. She was already gone. The dress sits in my closet now, still in its box. A Tor 300 reminder that love isn't always enough. That sometimes the person D4 is busy learning to live without. 2 weeks after Sarah left, Emma called me crying. "Daddy, why did make mommy sad?" My heart stopped. "What do mean, sweetheart?" "Mommy said we're mean to her. That's why we had to leave. Marcus says we're a bad husband." Marcus. Speaking to my daughter about me. Explaining my failures to a 5-year-old. I wanted to tell Emma the truth. Wanted to explain that mommy had lied. That mommy had daddy first. But what do say to a kindergartner? How do destroy their world just to save own reputation? Sometimes grown ups have problems, Em. But I love more than anything. Marcus loves me too. He bought me a new bike. A bike. He was buying my daughter's love with a bike. While I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor because Sarah had taken our bed. The lawyer I couldn't afford told me family court would be complicated. Sarah had already enrolled Emma in a new school district. Already established residence with Marcus. Already painted me as the villain in their narrative. Ex-wife is claiming emotional neglect. The lawyer said. Says we're always working, never present. Her companion is willing to testify about anger issues. What anger issues? I've never even raised my voice at Sarah. He says him at work. I hadn't anyone. But I had stared. I had clenched my fists. I had imagined things I'd never act on. Apparently, that was enough. The business was falling apart too. Marcus had been handling the books while I did the physical work. Turns out he'd been creative with the numbers. Moving money around. Setting things so when everything collapsed, I'd be the one left holding the debt. Our biggest client cancelled. Then another. Marcus had been telling people I was unreliable. That my personal problems were affecting my work. I found out when Joe from the restaurant supply company called me directly. "Look, I like personally," Joe said. "But Marcus says I've been drinking. Missing deliveries. I can't risk it. Drinking. I hadn't touched since college. But who would believe me over Marcus? Successful Marcus with his nice apartment, and his stable relationship with my ex-wife. I started staying late at the warehouse. Not because there was work to do. But because going home meant sitting alone with the silence. With the pictures I couldn't take down. With Emma's drawings still on the refrigerator. One night, I found Sarah's old journal, wedged behind the dresser we used to share. I know I shouldn't have read it. But I was desperate to understand when everything went wrong. The entries started 8 months ago. Saw Marcus at the company picnic today. He's so different from David. So confident. Makes me remember what it felt like to be desired instead of just needed. 8 months. Not 6 like she'd told me. 8 months of lies while I was breaking my back for that dress. Marcus says I deserve better than this. Says I'm too smart to be married to someone with no ambition. No ambition. I'd built our business from nothing. Worked 18-hour days to keep us afloat. Sacrificed everything for our family. David got home covered in sweat again today. I used to think it was attractive, how hard he worked. Now it just reminds me of everything we're not. The journal entries got worse. More detailed about their meetings. More cruel about me. Marcus took me to that French restaurant downtown. The one David always said was too expensive. I wore the red dress he bought me. Felt like a real woman for the first time in years. While I was eating peanut butter sandwiches to save money for her silk dress, she was dining on someone else's dime. Wearing someone else's gifts. The worst part. The entries about Emma. Asks why daddy works so much. Marcus says, it's because daddy doesn't know how to prioritize family. Maybe he's right. She was our daughter against me. Using my dedication to provide for them as evidence of my failure as a father. I called Sarah that night. Demanded to know how she could write those things while kissing me goodnight. Read my journal. Her voice was ice cold. Left it behind. Those are private thoughts, David. Private thoughts about how much the husband. While planning to leave him. I never planned anything. It just happened. 8 months, Sarah. 8 months of lying to my face. Silence. The dress, I said. When I gave that dress, already knew we're leaving. Yes. Just yes. No apology. No explanation. No acknowledgement of what that moment had meant to me. Why did let me buy it? I didn't ask to. But knew. Knew I was to make happy, and we're already gone. We're to ease own guilt, David. About never being present. About choosing work over family. I was working for Emma, for our future. No. We're working because it was easier than dealing with us. The line went dead. I sat in my empty house, holding her journal, and realized she genuinely believed what she'd said. In her mind I was the villain, my sacrifice was selfishness. My love was neglect. The next day, Marcus fired me. Business restructuring, he said, not even looking at me. We're going in a different direction. A different direction. Without the man who'd built the company. Without the partner who'd trusted him with everything. I cleaned out my desk while he watched. 5 years of my in a cardboard box. For what it's worth. Marcus said as I was leaving. Sarah's happier now. I turned around. Looked at him standing in the office I'd helped pay for, wearing a suit I couldn't afford. She was happy before. I said. No, David. She was settling. Maybe he was right. Maybe Sarah had been settling. Maybe I'd never been enough for her. Maybe the man who worked 14-hour days to buy her silk presses was just a fool, who didn't understand what women really wanted. But Emma wasn't settling. Emma had loved me completely. Unconditionally. Until they taught her not to. That night I called my daughter to say goodnight. Can Marcus read me a story instead? Daddy. He does the voices better. Even my 5-year-old was choosing him over me. I hung and sat in the dark, understanding for the first time what I'd really lost. It wasn't just Sarah. It wasn't just my business. It wasn't just my financial security. I'd lost my identity. My purpose. My place in the world. The dress still hangs in my closet. A monument to everything I'd gotten wrong. 6 months later, I was living in a studio apartment above a laundromat. The kind of place where the walls are so thin can hear neighbors' heartbreak through the drywall. I had weekend visitation with Emma. Every other weekend. If I was lucky. If Marcus didn't have something special planned. If Sarah didn't decide I looked unstable that week. The day that broke me wasn't dramatic. It was ordinary. Quiet. Like most devastation. Emma was drawing at my kitchen table. The same table where Sarah and I used to plan our future. Now it was covered with divorce papers and collection notices. Daddy, can come to my school play. Of course, sweetheart. When is it? When is it? I'm playing a princess. Marcus helped me practice my lines. Marcus. Always Marcus. I'd love to see be a princess. Emma looked from her drawing, her eyes so serious for a 6-year-old. Mummy says might not be able to come. Why would she say that? Because don't have nice clothes anymore. The words hit me like a physical. I looked down at thrift store jeans. A work shirt with a hole in the sleeve. When had I become the kind of father who embarrassed his child? I'll find something nice to wear. That Thursday, I showed in my only good shirt. The one I'd worn to job interviews. The one that now hung loose because I'd lost so much weight. I sat in the back of the school auditorium. Alone. Watching Sarah and Marcus in the front row, with their matching outfits, and their matching smiles. Emma was beautiful on stage, perfect. When she spotted me in the audience, she waved. Actually waved at me instead of them. For 30 seconds, I was her dad again. After the play, other parents came to congratulate Emma. They shook Marcus's hand. Hugged Sarah. Acted like they were Emma's real parents. I stood off to the side, waiting for my turn. David. Sarah's voice behind me. We need to talk. She led me outside. Away from everyone else. Away from Emma. Marcus and I are getting married. The words felt unreal, like she was speaking a foreign language. When? Next month. Small ceremony, just family. Emma is my family too. Emma will be there. But Marcus is going to adopt her. The world tilted. Adopt her. He wants to give her stability. A real father who's present. Who can provide for her. I'm her real father. David. Really? When's the last time? Took her somewhere that didn't involve a happy meal. When's the last time helped with homework? When's the last time we're anything more than a weekend visitor? She was right, and we both knew it. I'd become a stranger in my own daughters. The man who showed every other Saturday with cheap toys and broken promises. The adoption will make things easier legally. Cleaner. Like I was a stain they were trying to remove. Emma will still see. Sarah continued. But she'll have Marcus's name. His security. His future. I watched through the school window as Marcus lifted Emma onto his shoulders. As she laughed and played with his hair. As she looked at him the way she used to look at me. "I won't it," I heard say. Sarah's face softened for just a moment. "It's the right thing, David. For Emma." Maybe it was. Maybe my little girl deserved better than a father above a laundromat. Who worked part-time at a grocery store. Who couldn't afford to take her anywhere that mattered. The wedding happened on a Tuesday. I wasn't invited, but I drove by the church. Saw the cars. The flowers. The people celebrating Sarah's new beginning. Emma wore a blue dress. Not silk, but close enough. That night, I pulled the original dress from my closet. The one I'd worked so hard to buy. The one that had started everything unraveling. I finally understood what it represented. Not love. Not sacrifice. Not devotion. Desperation. I'd been so afraid of losing Sarah that I'd worked to trying to prove my worth. But can't buy someone's heart back once they've given it away. Can't earn love through exhaustion. I'd spent 3 months breaking my body for a dress she didn't want. From a man she didn't love. For a marriage that was already over. The dress had never been about making Sarah happy. It had been about making feel like I was enough, like I was fighting for something worth saving. But the truth was brutal, that simple Sarah had stopped loving me long before. I'd even noticed she was gone. I sold the dress to a consignment shop the next week. Got $40 for it, $40 for 3 months of my. For the moment I realized my marriage was dead, for the symbol of everything I'd lost. The woman at the shop held it to the light. "Beautiful dress," she said. "Barely worn. Someone's gonna love this." "Yeah, someone will." Emma calls Marcus Dad. Now. I'm David, when she talks and not me to her friends. Sometimes I'm not mentioned at all. I got a card on Father's Day. Store, bought. Generic. Signed, Love, Emma, in handwriting that didn't look quite right. Sarah probably made her send it. The card sits on my kitchen table next to the divorce decree and the adoption papers. Next to bills I can barely afford and I barely recognize. I see them sometimes around town. The happy family. Emma is taller now. Prettier. She has braces and a new bike and clothes that fit properly. She looks like a kid who's loved. Secure. Provided for. She doesn't see me when I wave. I work different jobs now. Retail. Food service. Jobs where I punch a clock and go home, and nobody depends on me anything that matters. It's easier this way. Safer. There's no one left to disappoint. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never bought that dress. If I'd come home early for a different reason. If I'd caught them before the lies got so deep. But the truth is, it wouldn't have mattered. Sarah had already decided I wasn't enough. The dress was just the moment I found out. I still work hard. Still carry heavy loads. But now it's just for me. Just to survive another day in a that feels like it belongs to someone else. The market where I used to work is still there. Still full of men breaking their backs. For people who might not be waiting for them at home. I want to warn them. Want to tell them that love isn't measured in hours worked or gifts given. That sometimes the person for is already planning their without. But I don't. Because hope is all some people have. And who am I to take that away? I carried heavy loads at the market all day. Just to earn enough for a dress she never wanted. And now I carry the weight of knowing that all my love was just another burden she was waiting to put down.